SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello learners, Namaste. Welcome to the first lecture of the course AI in Human Resource Management. If you have gone through the introduction video, you must have understood or at least heard that we will be looking into the nuances of artificial intelligence in human resource management. We have discussed about the what, the why, and who should actually take this course. So let me start this particular course in AI in Human Resource Management. I am Dr. Cyril Issac. I'm an assistant professor at the School of Business, Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati. Now, when you look into artificial intelligence, let's hold AI for some time. Let's look into the human behavior. In most of the OB courses, even the one which I floated in organizational behavior in the NPTEL platform, I have tried to emphasize on modeling behavior, on vicarious modeling, on learning by imitating others, simulation experiences, etc. So whenever, if you are looking closely into any particular individual, his or her learning abilities have been curated or have been nourished as part of some level of modeling or some level of replication. And this you can understand by even looking at larger organizations which are boastful about, or they are really proud in telling that we have some great management practices. Those practices are to be replicated in smaller organizations, and smaller organizations feel that those replication or those simulation of those best practices will actually get them there. You'll come to the individual level, the same case. Individuals try to emulate or try to replicate the behavioral patterns of others. This has been the history of human mankind. This has been the way people actually believe or behave, for that matter. Now, this particular notion or this particular understanding that you are replicating or you are simulating somebody else's behavior, this has given a certain evolution to artificial intelligence. I would like to see it in this way, where artificial intelligence refers to the simulation of human intelligence in machines that are programmed to think and learn like humans. So till now, every single human being was trying to imitate somebody else. Or let's look into a philosophical connotation, philosophy of any particular religion. I'm not talking about any one specific religion, any religion for that matter, is to try to imitate the God. Be it any particular religion, you'll see that the behavioral patterns, the way the God is trying to behave, or the way the God has been with human beings, if he has taken a human version or any compatible version of that sort, we have seen that people try to actually imitate the God, or people actually try to simulate. So all the altruistic behavior, all the behavior which comes to sort of philanthropic intention has certain root in this particular simulation. So here, when it comes to AI, it's a different take altogether. Here, you are trying to imitate or simulate the human intelligence to the machines and try to develop a similar pattern of intelligence. Now, this is what the crude understanding of AI. Over the 12 modules, you will get different flavors of definitions, different flavors of understanding. I'll try to relate it with each and every subtopic which we are taking in the particular module. But today, I would like to introduce you to AI, especially in human practices. We as individuals, we like learning, we like reasoning, we like perception, we like natural language processing, we like problem solving. Let's look into detail how we like these different aspects. When you look into artificial intelligence specifically, there are different parameters which actually delineate the artificial intelligence. When you actually say that it refers to the simulation of human intelligence in machines that are programmed to think and learn like humans, it encompasses a variety of technologies and methodologies that enable computers to perform the tasks that typically require human-like cognitive functions, which we have listed down. When you look into learning, the ability to improve performance on task through experience often uses machine learning. So let's look into an example. Machine learning models identifying patterns in employee behavior for, let's say, predictive analytics. As simple as put, predicting, let's say, something like employee attrition. This could be one of the learning models that have been developed by ML. AI improving recruitment process by learning which candidate profiles lead to successful hires. This could be also part of learning. Now, when you look into reasoning, the ability to draw conclusions or to make predictions based on the available information. Case in point, automated decision making, let's say in talent acquisition by analyzing the candidate fit, or even the AI-powered performance evaluations that recommend promotion based on the data trends, or even there could be situations where decision trees or some rule-based systems for determining compliance are placed with HR compliance or HR regulations for that matter. The third important aspect would be perception. The ability to interpret and understand sensory data from the world, that's what perception is. When you look into this ability, you have to understand the perception especially happens with respect to the images, with respect to the sounds and text. So something like, let's say, image recognition. Image recognition could be like reading resumes from scanned documents, which otherwise might take a lot of time, cost, labor, etc. Or we look into something as simple as NLP, understanding and responding to employees' inquiries via chatbots. I'm still talking about perception here. Or maybe speech recognition, example, converting spoken words to text during interviews. When you look into other factors like natural language processing, the capability to understand, the capability to interpret, and the capability to generate human language in a way that is both meaningful and functional is what you understand by NLP. Let's say chatbots, as I already mentioned, conducting preliminary interviews by asking some critically relevant questions, or something like automated report generation based on HR analytics, performance reviews, or employee feedback for that matter. And finally, another significant human-like cognitive function would be the problem solving. The most important one, I would say, the ability to devise solutions to complex issues or tasks by analyzing data and generating strategies. The examples could be optimizing workforce scheduling to improve actual productivity, AI tools for resolving complex, employee grievances, or maybe there are some disputes by identifying optimal solutions for that. So this is what human-like cognitive functions are, and this is where AI can actually be helpful. Now let's understand AI categorization based on capabilities. Based on capabilities, there are two significant categorizations that are there. That is, one will be narrow AI, another would be the general AI. When you look into the narrow AI, also known as the weak AI, is designed and trained for a specific task or a narrow range of tasks, maybe something like a facial recognition or as simple as playing chess. So what happens, or what is actually happening, is that it lacks general intelligence and cannot perform tasks outside its predefined abilities. This is one of the strict weaknesses of narrow AI. But when you actually look into the key characteristics, it operates within a limited domain. That might be the consequent, the weakness associated with that, but it is not capable of independent decision making outside predefined algorithms. So what we see as narrow AI is technically what reacts to pre-programmed commands or inputs. Something like AI chatbots designed to assist in customer service or maybe some employee queries, or some recommendation systems like what Amazon or Netflix suggestions base are using on user preferences, or based on the user preferences, how you click, and once you log into your Facebook or any other social media for that matter, you'll get recommendations related to that, or even in the particular portal, you'll get recommendations based on your previous watch or views, etc. Another significant categorization based on capability is the general AI, which is also known as the strong AI. When you look into strong AI, it refers to a hypothetical AI that possesses the ability to understand, the ability to learn and apply intelligence across a wide range of tasks, which is pretty similar to a human being. So let's look into strong AI. It has certain cognitive abilities similar to humans. It can independently reason, solve complex problems, and make decisions. But that said, it is still a theoretical concept, not fully realized in practice yet. So let's look into some examples. Like, there are no current implementations of true general AI, but if we certainly delve into details of general AI, we see that the potential use cases could include AI systems that could independently perform any intellectual task a human can do. So maybe a couple of years down the line, or maybe sooner than that, some doctors, engineers, or decision makers, the roles can be actually replaced. That's what we are looking up to. When you look into AI categorization, we can also categorize them based on the functionalities. And based on the functionalities, we categorize them into reactive machines, into limited memory, and the theory of mind. So when you look into the reactive machines, basic AI systems are being propagated by these reactive machines. These are nothing but, no memory or learning capabilities associated with these machines. They do not have the ability to form memories or use past experiences to influence the present decisions. They can only perform tasks for which they are explicitly programmed. So they operate solely in the present without considering the historical data. So something like Deep Blue, IBM's chess playing computer, which defeated Gary Kasparov in 1997, I think. It could calculate the different possibilities or possible moves, but had no ability to learn from the games it played. Again, some basic chatbots that respond to predefined scripts without actually learning from the interaction. So there is no particular learning ability that these reactive machines have. Another significant categorization would be the limited memory. When you look into limited memory, these are AI systems that can use historical data and past experiences to inform decisions. These AI systems can truly retain data from a limited period and use it to improve the outcome. So what we understand with respect to reactive machines is that this can learn from past data, but typically cannot store the information for long-term improvement. So there could be some retainment, often used in situations requiring a dynamic response based on immediate historical input. Let's say some examples could be self-driving cars. Self-driving cars, they use data collected from the environment, let's say road conditions, traffic patterns, to actually make decisions in real time. Or something which is very specific to us, the AI recruitment tools. So AI recruitment tools, those systems that learn from past hiring data to optimize future candidate selection. Now the third categorization would be theory of mind. When you talk about theory of mind, it is an advanced type of AI that can understand human emotions, beliefs, intentions, and even thoughts. So this AI is expected to be able to interact with humans in more natural ways by understanding their psychological states. So something like capable of understanding emotions and social interactions, or it can adjust its responses based on the emotional cues or context. It is again not fully developed, but it is a key goal in AI research. So wherever you see, let's say an example could be AI assistants that could emerge in the future that can understand not just what you ask, but the context and the emotional weight behind your request. Let's say some virtual assistants that provide emotional support or tailored advice. So many a time it is not mere robotic, but there is some weighting, some weightage that's given behind your request. Now let's look into the importance of AI in transforming HR functions. So having seen the different categorization based on functionalities, we look into some applications of each category in HR. Let's say when we looked into narrow AI, it can be used extensively today in recruitment, employee performance evaluations, and learning management systems, because we need only a weak AI till now for the mundane task. When you go across the limited memory AI, we see that it is common in systems that require real-time data input, such as workforce scheduling or something like predictive analytics for attrition. In case of the reactive machines, what we have seen, we have found that in basic chatbots that automate routine HR tasks, like maybe as simple as answering some FAQs. In the theory of mind, we can transform employee engagement, training, and talent management by adapting to the psychological and emotional needs of employees. So what we understand is that the AI technologies that are used in various applications, it could be autonomous vehicles, it could be healthcare diagnostics, it could be some virtual assistants, or even some recommendation systems. So all AI has the potential to enhance productivity and innovation, but a big but there, it also raises ethical and societal questions that need to be addressed as this technology evolves. So that's what brings us to the importance of AI in transforming HR functions. When you look into the particular topic, we see that the first and the foremost one would be recruitment, and it has a possibility of enhancing the recruitment process. Maybe let's look into the first and the foremost thing, resume screening. AI-driven tools can process thousands of resume rapidly. They're talking about the speed, talking about the pace, and less of time, identifying the best candidates based on the predefined criteria. So this reduces the time spent on initial screening. Over the different modules, I'll try to go in detail. We'll try to bring in new tools like HireView, Pymetrics, that use ML algorithms to assess candidate suitability, saving HR teams the countless hours otherwise required by them. Again, you have options for candidate matching. When AI algorithms can analyze job descriptions and candidate profiles to suggest the best fits, helping HR professionals actually streamline the entire recruitment process and improve the quality of hires. So something like a predictive model helping HR teams focus on candidates who are more likely to succeed and stay longer, reducing employee turnover. Again, we will have detailed explanation of this in module 3. But I would like to introduce you to how it can enhance the recruitment process. The second important aspect is how it can improve the employee onboarding. Automated onboarding programs are there. AI can personalize the onboarding experience, providing tailored training materials and resources to new hires based on their roles and backgrounds. Like AI-powered onboarding platforms deliver personalized content to new employees, helping them actually integrate into the company in a faster way. You have chatbots for support that can assist new employees with questions concerning, policies, maybe questions concerning benefits or procedures within the organization, enhancing their experience and reducing the workload on HR staff. Something like Maya or Tala, the tools which offer 24/7 assistance for onboarding queries, reducing the workload on HR teams. When you look into the importance of AI in transforming HR functions, we can also understand that there is a possibility of data-driven decision making. When you talk about data-driven decision making, you have to understand the predictive analytics part, which again will be detailed in further modules. AI can analyze historical data to actually forecast the trends such as employee turnover and training needs, enabling HR to take proactive measures. That said, performance analysis is also complementary to predictive analytics, where performance analysis is what in which AI tools can actually track employee performance, their performance metrics, the level of engagement. In other words, AI-driven platforms collect and analyze employee performance data, providing HR managers with insights into employee strengths, employee weakness, and growth opportunities. So AI removes the human typical bias from performance reviews by focusing on quantifiable metrics. So this is the first time I'm trying to introduce this particular concept or understanding that human bias is being removed. Now, many a time I'll try to dissect this construct and try to present different views associated with this particular statement that human bias is being removed. In this particular scenario, enhanced employee engagement, we see platforms like Reflective or Cultural Amp that will be covered in the next lecture that use AI to gather continuous feedback and measure performance against key metrics. We also have some enhanced employee engagement based on some personalized development plans. AI systems can actually recommend personalized training and development opportunities based on individual skills and career aspirations, promoting continuous growth and engagement. So, AI-driven chatbots that are available 24/7 to help employees with common inquiries such as benefit questions, leave requests, or even policy clarification. So these improves certainly the employee experience by providing instant, accurate information without actual human intervention. So let's say some chatbots like Talla or Lena AI can handle HR tasks such as simple as approving leave requests or even answering FAQs or directing employees to relevant resources. Then we also have sentiment analysis, one of the key methods used for research. Nowadays, AI systems can analyze these employee communications, surveys, and feedback to gauge overall morale and identify potential issues within the workforce. So let's say sentiment analysis allows the HR to act quickly to address the dissatisfaction, if any, improve the work environment altogether, or to adjust with the policies. So, tools like Peakon or Qualtrics actually use AI to analyze employee surveys, emails, and to a certain extent communication patterns, providing HR with a clear picture of employee satisfaction. We will also understand that when you look into the importance of AI in transforming HR function, we can see a lot of automation specific to the mundane or the routine task. And this is interesting because by automating repetitive and time-consuming administrative tasks, AI enables HR teams to focus on more strategic initiatives. So when you look into this, we have to acknowledge and appreciate that it certainly adds on to the administrative efficiency. AI can automate these repetitive or mundane tasks such as, let's say, scheduling or something as simple as payroll processing. Or leave management, freeing HR professionals so that they can actually focus on the strategic initiatives. Some examples could be like Cenifax. Some examples could be like Cenefits. And ADP automate payroll management, tax filings, and benefit tracking. That could be part of increasing the administrative efficiency. When we typically look into the self-service portals for that matter, AI-driven self-service systems empower employees to manage their own inquiries, benefits, maybe some requests, reducing the final HR's administrative burden. When you look into the importance of AI in transforming HR functions with respect to automation, we have to also understand that transformation can happen with respect to the enhanced talent management also. So, very particular is the succession planning. AI can identify high potential employees for leadership roles through certain performance metrics and career trajectories. So in the initial days, what happens is that, let's say, this succession planning is one of the very vital aspect when it comes to HR. When you look into an organization, there are two forms of recruitment or recruitment sources particularly. One is the internal and another is the external. So what happens with the external sources? They try to bring in new, fresh recruits, good profiles, well educated, well qualified, correct, or adapt to the tasks, the duties, responsibilities, etc. But many a time what happens once they come inside the organization, it's hard for them, it's difficult for them to actually be compatible or to adapt with the particular organization setup, organization culture, etc. So here comes the relevance of what we see as the inside source. So inside, there has been some career succession planning that happens. The CEOs or the top rung board of governors, they have an eye on some youngsters who are being trained within the organization, and they hope that one day these people will come up the ranks and they will take the control of the company. So they are being actually trained likewise. So this has been happening in most of the organizations, successful organizations, for quite some time. Now AI helps this to be undertaken in a very faster and more accurate way by bringing in certain performance metrics, by analyzing those performance metrics and showing that maybe your selection would be right or maybe your selection would be wrong. But it gives a holistic picture of where you actually stand in terms of the analysis of the particular individual. So this is what is relevant with respect to succession planning. This is also relevant with respect to skill gap analysis. Many a time, what happens is that there are some employees who pitch up and try to deliver, so that the gap, actually a gap of skill, is not actually understood. But when the company is scaling up, when the company is supposed to gain more revenue, it might not be able to achieve the target because many a time these individuals might not be able to perform in a desired way. So this is a particular lacune when it comes to manual interpretation or manual analysis. This is taken care of AI here. Skill gap analysis based on the performance metrics actually gives a pretty much bigger solution to the problem. So it enhances the talent management for that case. Now let's look into some other aspects of the importance of AI in transforming the HR functions, something like improving efficiency with respect to a data-driven system. Let's look into that in detail. When you look into the importance of AI, specifically in HR functions, very specific to improving efficiency, we'll see that there are some patterns of streamlined communication. AI-powered messaging systems can manage internal communications more effectively, ensuring that the employees receive timely and relevant information, which increases the overall efficiency. Also, one of the most critical aspect within an organization, which is the feedback, is also taken care of by AI these days. AIs can actually facilitate regular feedback loops between employees and management, helping to address concerns quickly and continuously improve the workplace culture. So AI tools can actually track the progress of employees in training programs and provide real-time feedback, helping learners improve immediately rather than waiting for the periodic reviews. Now, let's look into some examples like, some learning platforms, AI-enabled learning platforms that can assess employees' skills in real time and suggest adjustments to their learning paths based on the performance. Another significant factor would be the cost efficiency. When you look into cost efficiencies, you have to understand that there is a possibility of resource optimization and also a reduced turnover that can be obtained by leveraging AI. Specifically, HR can optimize resources by reducing operational costs. By leveraging AI, HR can optimize resources, thereby reducing operational costs associated with hiring, associated with training, and even employee management. When you look into the reduced turnover, enhanced hiring process and employee engagement efforts actually lead to lower turnover rates. So what we understand is that it significantly reduces recruitment and onboarding costs. So when you look into AI as a transformative force in human resource management, it enhances decision making, it enhances the operational efficiency while offering a more personalized experience for employees by harnessing the power of AI. So organizations can not only optimize their HR functions, but can also cultivate a more engaged and skilled workforce. So as technology continues to evolve, please note the benefits of AI in HR will only continue to expand. So making this AI in HR an essential component of the entire workforce management. So now we'll look into the current challenges in HR. So before jumping into AI, how it is bringing benefits that we have almost seen, but how it can have element of challenge into HR, let's understand what are the typical recent relevant HR challenges. The first and the foremost one would be talent acquisition and retention, specific to skill shortages and very high turnover rates. You see that organizations tend to give very high benefits, even some fringe benefits, even the way they are being trained or nurtured within the organization is phenomenal. But still, individuals prefer to jump from one company to another, move from one company to another, or from one organization to another. Always the grass is greener on the other side. So when you look into such situations, why can't the AI be a relevant force in addressing this? But for that, we have to understand the current challenges in HR. Very quickly, let's see talent acquisition and retention being the first one. As I mentioned, the skill shortages and high turnover rates accounts to most of the talent acquisition retention as a challenge. When you're looking into finding candidates with the right skills has become increasingly difficult in most of the industries, or even organizations face challenges in retaining the top talent, which can disrupt teams and can lead to increased recruitment costs. There could be also increased competition from top talent. Let's say when industries evolve and demand for the specialized skills also rises, organizations face stiff competition for top tier talent. So this is especially true for roles in, let's say, data science or roles in technology, AI, where talent pools are limited. The challenge here is that HR teams must not only offer competitive compensation packages, but also create an attractive employer brand and a very, very positive candidate experience to stand out for that. Let's say companies like Google or Amazon invest heavily in employee branding and innovative recruitment strategies to maintain their competitive edge in hiring. When you look into the entire talent acquisition and retention, retaining the key employees happens to be the key. High employee turnover is costly, it is disruptive, there is no doubt about it. But retention becomes even more critical as the demand for skilled professional actually outpaces supply many a time. So the challenge here is that HR must focus on creating strong employee engagement, development opportunities, and a supportive work environment to retain talent. So with the rise of remote work, retention strategies must also address the unique challenges of engaging remote employees. Another significant factor could be the remote work management or remote work management related issues like cultural cohesion or performance monitoring, etc. Managing remote work dynamics, especially after the COVID, the shift towards a remote or hybrid work model has brought in a certain level of new complexities in managing, especially in managing teams effectively. So HR must find ways to maintain the team cohesion, ensure certain productivity, and provide critical support for employees working outside the particular traditional office environment. So maintaining a strong organizational culture is part of the cultural cohesion. Especially it will be difficult, especially when the work is done in remote. Performance monitoring, effectively tracking employee performance and productivity in a remote environment poses great challenges. So when you're looking into remote work which offers flexibility, it can also lead to communication barriers. Please take a note of that. It can also lead to reduced team collaboration. It can also lead to disengagement if not managed properly. So HR needs to implement tools and processes that foster collaboration and keep employees engaged regardless of the physical location. So let's look into some typical examples, like companies like Microsoft or GitLab have embraced these remote work policies. They invest in technologies like Zoom or Slack, for that matter, and virtual team building activities to maintain this engagement. So when you look into performance management for remote employees specifically, assessing the performance of remote employees is challenging, but HR must create performance management systems that focus on results rather than physical presence, incorporating metrics that typically or accurately measures remote employees' contributions. When you look into the current challenges in HR, how can we proceed without understanding the employee engagement and well-being as a challenge typical to burnout and diverse needs? When you look into maintaining high levels of employee engagement, it is essential for productivity and retention. Disengaged employees can actually lead to decreased morale and high turnover rates. So the well-being of employees has become increasingly important, especially in light of rising burnout rates stemming from remote work pressures and job demands. So when you talk about burnout, the rise in mental health issues and employee burnout necessitates proactive measures to ensure well-being. When you talk about diverse needs, meeting these varying needs of diverse workforce can actually complicate engagement strategies. So when you look into supporting employee well-being, with the pressures of remote work, economic uncertainty, and the changing business environment, this employee burnout and stress are becoming more and more common. So HR must implement well-being programs that addresses not only the physical but also the mental health. So this could include offering mental health days, or maybe something like access to therapy, or maybe as simple as fostering a culture where employees feel comfortable seeking help. It's a small thing to do, but it has not been done in many organizations. Creating work-life balance would be another aspect to go about it, as boundaries between the work and personal life blur, especially with remote work. Ensuring the employees maintaining a healthy balance is more difficult. So creating a work-life balance could be another important significant solution to that. When you look into the challenges, we have to also understand the problem with the compliance and regulation, especially the problems related to changing legislations. On a regional basis, HR must stay updated on the labor laws, which frequently evolve and can even vary from place to place, region to region. Labor laws surrounding working hours, it could be around around employee classification, around minimum wage, around data protection. All these factors are evolving. If you take the case of India, we have the recent labor codes 2020 that has come into place. So all these aspects are evolving, especially with the rise of gig economy and remote work. So the human resource management department must actually monitor changes in legislation and adapt company policies accordingly. When you look into data privacy, is again one of the foremost challenge that the department would face, ensuring compliance with data protection regulation, something like what GDPR is in Europe, while managing employee critical information is critical. So with the increased use of human resource technology platforms and even things like collection of employee data, HR must ensure compliance with data privacy regulations, maybe what we call it as GDPR or CCPA, whatever the case be. So HR needs to work closely with IT and legal teams to secure employee data, train staff on data privacy practices, and implement policies that comply with relevant laws. We have to also see the technology integration. Here I'm talking about technology integration as a challenge. Please note that. When some employees, there is a possibility that they may resist new HR technologies, impacting implementation and effectiveness. So this could be one of the adoption resistance as a challenge. Employees and HR professionals alike may resist, adopting these technologies due to lack of familiarity or maybe due to perceived complexity, not the real complexity, perceived complexity, or concerns about job replacement, whether they will be put out of the job or they will lose the chance or they will lose the productivity or they will be ridiculed or belittled in the organization. All these concerns can actually emerge out of this technology integration. There could be also issues of data management challenges. Analyzing large volumes of HR data can be overwhelming without the right tools or strategies. Initially we could use or manage things in a tabular column. Maybe with Excel, we could have done things, but many organizations use a combination of the HR tools and platforms like, what we have seen as payroll recruitment, payroll management, recruitment management, performance management, etc. Different HR tools, which will be detailed in the coming lectures. Integrating these systems to create a very seamless experience, but it can be very, very demanding. It can be highly complex. There could be also a challenge of upskilling and reskilling. When you talk about upskilling and reskilling, you have to understand, I hope you understand by what do you mean by upskilling and reskilling. Upskilling and reskilling have become critical challenges for human resource as organizations navigate the rapidly changing landscape of technology and workforce demand. So when you talk about upskilling, it refers to enhancing existing employees' skills to improve their performance in their current roles. In contrast, reskilling involves training employees to acquire new skills necessary for different roles or functions within the organization. Please understand, you should note these two differences. So this is not just mere a class on technology, but it's also a class on the basic human resource management concept. So both strategies are essential for addressing skill gap, both upskilling and reskilling, and preparing the workforce for future challenges. But that said, many a time the rapid technological change, the fast pace of technological advancements that requires continual employee training and development, utilizing learning management systems, LMS, and other digital tools to facilitate the training delivery, the tracking of progress, and providing resources that reinforce learning could be the way that could emerge as a challenge, but we need to find a solution for that too. Identifying training needs can also be another challenge. Assessing which skills need to be developed within the workforce can be a big challenge. Organizations often struggle to pinpoint the specific skills that need enhancement or acquisition. So this challenge is exacerbated by the rapid technological advancements that continuously alter the job requirements. So when you look into the current challenges, we have to also understand that diversity also emerges as a challenge, especially diversity, equity, and inclusion, what we commonly call as DEI. When you look into DEI, building a diverse and inclusive workforce is essential for fostering innovation, improving decision making, and creating a fair and equitable work environment. So when you talk about a genuine change, creating a genuine change, implementing effective DEI initiatives that go beyond the surface level commitments requires continuous effort and strategies. So while maintaining, many organizations have these diverse initiatives. They achieve meaningful diversity across all levels, maybe in leadership roles. But the challenge is how it can be reciprocated or how it can be trickled down to the bottom. Measuring impact is also critical, especially something that cannot be measured, cannot be improved. So on that logic, evaluating the effectiveness of DEI efforts can be very complex, and it requires very clear metrics. So I hope you are able to understand where I'm leading these current challenges to. Why I took the current challenges in HR in the first place. I'll clarify it with the emerging topic. You know, when you look into measuring impact, you can have unconscious bias in recruitment. There could be performance reviews and promotions that can hinder the success of DEI initiatives. So when you look into the challenges, you'll also see that leadership development also happens to be a critical challenge, especially as we have clearly understood the issue of succession planning. You know, identifying and grooming future leaders specifically within the organization remains a challenge for many HR departments. Even creating leaders, you know, developing leadership skills among employees, especially in remote settings, can require innovative approaches. So employees having different learning styles, you know, different learning paces or preferences, they have to be offered personalized, engaging learning experience, which is vital for the successful development. When you look into the current challenges in HR, we have to also see employee feedback and communication. This can be understood with the help of limited engagement and information overload. When you look into limited engagement, gathering honest employee feedback can be very challenging, especially in hierarchical organizations. You know, that would be a big challenge. When you look into poor communication between management and employees, that can result in misunderstanding, you know, decreased morale and a lack of alignment with organizational goals. Many employees do not feel adequately informed about company objectives or their role in achieving them, leading to disengagement and total frustration. So please note, limited engagement is and has been a problem for a long time. When you look into employees, they may feel overwhelmed by the frequent communications, making it difficult to pinpoint critical information. Today we are having the problem of plenty. Too much of information actually, you know, blurs the decision making. You might not be able to get the right focus with too much of information. Adaptability to change in a dynamic business environment, this also happens to be a challenge. Especially organizations must continuously adapt to change, whether they involve mergers, acquisitions, it could be digital transformations or shifts in market strategy. So HR plays a key role in managing these changes, but it's not without its difficulties. There are problems associated with that, like how you navigate uncertainty. You know, the business environment, as we see, is rapidly changing, it's rapidly evolving, and HR must remain flexible to adapt to new challenges such as economic fluctuations, or let's say something as severe as global crisis or digital transformation. So what we understand with respect to these challenges is that HR professionals truly face a myriad of challenges. As we have seen, as we have listed down to 10, we see that these challenges have to be navigated, especially the complexities of modern workplaces have to be solved. Addressing these challenges requires truly innovative strategies, a commitment to continuous improvement, and a focus on fostering a supportive and inclusive work environment. So we have seen a plethora, we have seen a large chunk of challenges. I'm not telling that this is an exhaustive list, but you have to understand that many a time we see that these problems actually pave way to newer problems. And most of these current challenges right now, what we have identified today, are significant challenges, and they have the potential to give rise to new challenges. And in this scenario, if you recollect the theme of the entire course, intuition meeting innovation, or innovation meeting intuition, this is what we try to solve by bringing in HR. Now, that said, there are certain aspects which we have to understand before simply putting AI into every single program. We see that especially from module 3 onwards, we see the introduction of AI in specific HR domains, be it onboarding, recruitment, be it person job fit. We look into every single aspect. We look into detailed softwares or programs or actual companies or organizations that are leading the way. We will go through the different possibilities and their websites and what all softwares and what all technicalities they use. But before that, we have to understand and acknowledge the challenges in implementing AI in HR, because this is an introductory video. And I would want you to understand that in the topic the first topic itself, that this is not an easy task. You can simply say that I'll use AI here, I'll use AI there. But there are certain challenges in implementing AI in HR. Let's look into that in greater detail. The first and the foremost one is data quality and availability. When you talk about data, we have to be doubtful, we have to be speculative, especially when it comes to the quality and availability of data. So many a time, the quality and availability are critical components. Please note, the data quality refers to the condition of a data set based on various attributes, including accuracy, including completeness, consistency, reliability and validity. So high quality data is crucial for making informed business decisions, as it directly impacts operational efficiency. It impacts the compliance with regulations and even to a certain extent customer satisfaction. So poor data quality can actually lead to erroneous conclusions, a lot of damage in reputation, and even without doubt financial losses. When we talk about data quality, we have to also understand data availability also as a critical issue. It refers to ensuring that the business related data is accessible to users whenever that is required. So this includes, something like maintaining continuous access to data across various platforms and devices. So sometimes what happens is that high data availability is essential for operational efficiency and all these aspects which we have discussed, like customer service, compliance, legal compliance, etc. When you talk about data availability, you have to look into inconsistent data. AI systems require high quality, consistent data. So poor data quality can lead to inaccurate analysis and decisions, no doubt about it. There are also problems related with data silos. What are data silos? Information may be spread across different systems, making it difficult to gather comprehensive data for AI training. So organizations generally face trade-offs between ensuring high quality data and providing timely access to that particular data. So data quality and availability are interdependent elements that significantly influence organizational performance. When you look into the challenges, you'll also see as bias and fairness as another challenge in implementing AI in HR. Why bias and fairness? You look into algorithmic bias. What is algorithmic bias? AI systems can unintentionally perpetuate existing biases present in the training data, leading to unfair selection or evaluation process. We'll detail this in module 3, especially where I'll make a statement that AI models is only as good as the data it is trained on. So that is a problem with the bias that would otherwise come in. Also, there are transparency related issues. Understanding how these AI models make decisions can be very, very complex, hampering the ability to identify and rectify biases. Let's look into an example. Amazon had to scrap its AI recruitment tool after it was found to favor male candidates for technical jobs, as the system was trained on resumes that were predominantly submitted by men. You must have heard about this particular news item. So this is a problem. The solution could be that HR teams need to audit the AI systems regularly to identify and correct any biases in algorithms, ensuring diversity in training data and incorporating fairness metrics into the AI systems that can help mitigate the typical biases. Now, when you look into the challenges in implementing AI in HR, we have to understand there could be a resistance from the employee part also, which sometimes might be surprising, but it's a reality. Sometimes there is fear of job displacement that is prompting the individual or the employees to actually go against the AI. Employees may worry about AI replacing their roles, creating resistance to new technologies. So the problem is that when the change is happening, there should be effective change management. Successfully managing the transition to AI-driven process requires careful planning. A recruitment team that has relied only on manual resume screening for, let's say, years might resist adopting an AI tool for candidate selection, now fearing that it will make their expertise redundant. So please note this can be a potential challenge in implementing AI in HR. Another significant factor could be integration with existing systems. Now, sometimes these existing systems are not meant to be or were not designed properly to be used with AI. Compatibility issues. New AI tools may not easily integrate with legacy HR systems, requiring additional investments, specifically in infrastructure and resources, or sometimes the whole system might have to be dumped. So this is again another critical challenge in implementing AI in HR, and many a time it will, evoke a lot of responses, whether you should actually go for AI in HR, whether the cost benefit analysis actually suggests typical discussions or deliberations are required, or sometimes things emanate in a way that you don't need AI in HR if you have to, waste this much of money. There might be possibility of workflow disruption also. Integrating AI can actually disrupt established workflows, necessitating changes in processes and roles. An example could be an AI tool for candidate screening, let's say, may not seamlessly integrate with an existing ATS, applicant tracking system, resulting in manual data transfers or duplicate efforts for that matter. We also have the most important concern, the ethical and privacy concern. So I've noted the data privacy part. I've extensively explained in the HR challenge part. So I'm not going to take that much of time here, but very quickly, let's look into this data privacy. AI systems require access to sensitive employee data. So it raises concerns around confidentiality and compliance with regulations. So all the GDPR discussions we had, please take a note of that. What we understand as an example is that AI systems that analyze, employee performance or monitor communication might collect sensitive data that, if mishandled, could lead to all the privacy violations. So ensuring these AI systems are very secure, they are encrypted, they are compliant with regulations is a big challenge for the human resource management department. So ethical use of AI would be the solution, but the problem largely looms because we need to develop policies to govern the ethical use of AI in HR, and which is essential to ensure employee trust and compliance specifically. When you talk about skill gaps as a challenge in implementing AI in HR, we have to understand it with respect to the need for training. I've already mentioned the skill gap as one of the challenge. Need for training, especially HR professionals may require training to effectively use AI tools and interpret their outcomes. Lack of AI expertise also is emerging to be one of the critical challenges because most of them talk about it, but seldom do they know about it. So organizations may struggle to find or develop personnel with the necessary skills to implement and manage these AI solutions. So let's say without proper training, HR staff may not know how to interpret AI generated insights from employee data or use predictive analytics to improve the hiring and retention decisions. Now let's look into the measurement and evaluation challenge. Defining success metrics would be a real concern. Establishing clear metrics to assess the critical effectiveness of AI initiatives in HR can be very, very challenging. One of the primary challenges in measuring AI outcomes in HR is the absence of the standardized metrics. So organizations often do struggle to establish a certain uniform criteria for evaluating AI performance, leading to a lot of inconsistencies in how success is defined and measured. So this lack of standardization can result in difficulties when comparing results across different departments and organizations. When you look into ongoing evaluation, continuous monitoring of AI performance and impact is essential, but can be resource intensive. So AI systems can be inherently complex, often involving multiple algorithms and data sources. So these complexities make it difficult to isolate specific contributions to performance outcomes. When you look into other simple aspects like cost and resource allocation, AI is easily said, as I always mention, but what are the cost implications? There is a high initial investments that is required. The cost of implementing AI in HR, including purchasing AI tools. We'll discuss about these AI tools, their cost ramifications, etc. in the coming modules. But please note, in purchasing of AI tools, training HR staff with those tools and maintaining the systems can be significant with respect to cost. Especially, it would be a big burden for the small and medium-sized enterprises. So please ponder over that particular situation. The upfront investments in AI tools. A company may invest in an AI-powered employee engagement platforms, let's say as an example. But if it lacks the budget to hire skilled professionals to manage the system, it could fail to maximize the benefits of the technology. For the sake of technology, you have one, but you cannot run it, you cannot manage it properly. That's a problem. So organizations should actually conduct a cost-benefit analysis to determine whether the ROI justifies the investment particularly. Partnering with vendors that offer scalable solutions or AI as a service, like there are some ALAS platforms that can help reduce the initial financial burden. When you talk about the challenges in implementing AI in HR, we cannot overlook legal compliance. Please note, there could be regulatory challenges, there could be accountability issues. Navigating complex and evolving legal frameworks, surrounding AI, use in hiring, performance tracking, and monitoring can be very daunting. Clarifying who's accountable, that's a big question. Something goes bad, who is accountable for decisions made by AI systems, especially in sensitive areas, maybe like hiring or termination, is very critical. So please understand that it is not as simple as just implementing AI. There are certain challenges associated with that. When you look into over-reliance on technology, you have to understand that the same human factor which you have thrown out, that may become relevant when it comes to some critical situations. Neglecting human judgment is a big challenge. Over-relying on AI for decision making can diminish the human element in HR, which is crucial for areas like employee relations and culture. There could be also a false sense of security. I don't know whether you have thought about it, but you should ponder over it. Believing that AI solutions will solve all the HR problems without adequate human oversight can lead to oversight and issues. Let's take a very crude example. I would take some time here. Most of you might be using ChatGPT, because whenever you talk about AI, ChatGPT almost becomes synonymous, which is wrong. But in that case, if you have used ChatGPT, you have some input data, you get some output. But many a time you see that there is some mismatch. There is some lack of human element which is missing. What you actually wanted to communicate or what you actually wanted to get as an output is missing. And many a time, please note that this is because the human element has gone out. It is the over-reliance on technology. You are just simply, trying to take something out of this which is totally robotic. And I don't know whether you're noticed, but if you see sometimes the output given by a source like ChatGPT might be very inferior. very inferior, even you will feel that this is not what you expected, or you could have done a much better job. So sometimes, there are things which are beyond your control, but over reliance on technology will definitely emerge as a challenge in implementing AI in HR. So when you look into the current challenges of AI, implementing AI in HR, we have to now look into how we can actually integrate AI in HR. So we have seen the challenges or the problems faced with human resource management alone. We have also deeply understood the problems or the challenges that come as part of implementing AI in HR. Now let's look into the AI integration. Very quickly, we have to define clear objectives. When you're looking into the best practices for AI integration, we have to typically understand that we have to be particular in defining clear objectives. Identify the goals, but get specific, measurable goals for AI integration, such as, let's say, something as simple as you want to improve the recruitment time or recruiting times, right? Or changing or enhancing the employee engagement, or some related clear objectives that will help measure the success of AI initiatives. So all these goals establish, some KPIs, key performance indicators for AI implementation that could actually enable to define a clear set of objectives. Also, please note whether these objectives are in alignment with the business strategy that the organization is having. Let's take an example. A company experiencing very high turnover might deploy AI to analyze employee exit data and identify factors contributing to attrition, thus allowing HR to take proactive steps in improving retention. Another significant practice could be choosing the right tools and technologies. When you look into AI, please select the appropriate AI solutions. Research and choose tools that fit your specific HR needs. Let's say you are into recruitment, you need to have a tool which can actually facilitate recruitment, not employee engagement, or vice versa, or performance management for that matter. Ensure scalability, because today you might be dealing with small numbers, but your tool should have the capability and the potential scalability. So opt for solutions that can actually grow with your organization and adapt to changing needs. Let's say for recruitment, a company might choose AI-powered tools like HireView or Pymetrics, which offer predictive analytics and bias mitigation features. AI tools should actually integrate seamlessly with existing HR platforms. Let's say there are some HCM systems, human capital management systems, or some ATS, applicant tracking systems. So that integration should be very clear, very smooth. Also, you should focus on the data quality. As I mentioned, there should be need to conduct data audits, because we have seen the problem with the data quality. We have also understood that we need to create a centralized data repository. Consolidate the data from various sources to facilitate training AI modules. Consolidate data from various sources to facilitate training AI models. Organizations must typically establish, clear policies with respect to data usage, access control, and protection. Build a cross-functional teams. When you are looking into building path, you should have a cross-functional team where you involve HR experts in AI development. HR professionals should be closely involved in, designing, refining AI systems. Their expertise is essential for defining business roles, identifying biases and ensuring that AI tools align with the organization's culture and goals. Data scientists play a very critical role in building, testing, and even fine-tuning AI models. So HR should work closely with them to ensure that the AI systems meet the organization's specific needs, such as analyzing employee engagement data or predicting turnover, and also involving some legal experts ensures that AI systems comply with all the the critical labor laws, all the anti-discrimination policies, data privacy regulations, etc. When you look into engagement, please try to involve key players, collaborate with staff or staff from different multifunctional departments, IT, compliance, etc., to gather diverse insights and to actually foster buy-in. You can also communicate improvements, regularly update stakeholders on the progress and the benefits of the enhanced support specifically. There could be also possibilities to mitigate biases, audit AI algorithms regularly, continuously monitor the AI systems for signs of bias in decision making, such as something like hiring or promotions or performance evaluations for that matter. Regular audits will help identify and correct the biases that may arise over the time. When you look into AI, ensure that these AI models are trained on diverse data sets that represent different genders, races, and backgrounds. Incorporate fairness metrics into AI modules, AI models to actively measure and reduce disparities in outcomes across different groups. For example, let's say in recruitment, AI systems can be trained to give equal weight to diverse candidates. You can also start small and scale gradually. You need not go high scale in the beginning itself. There could be some pilot projects that could be tested with the AI initiatives and gather feedback before full scale implementation. So begin by implementing AI in specific HR process, let's say something as simple as candidate screening, or let's say employee feedback analysis or payroll automation, any one thing. So this will help the team gain experience and refine the AI tool before expanding its use. We can also have a iteration based on results using insights from the pilot projects that we have used earlier to refine processes before a broader rollout. So use the insights from the pilot phase to tweak the AI system and address all the shortcomings. Ensure compliance with legal standards, stay informed, keep current on legal regulations surrounding AI, conduct risk assessments as far as possible, and evaluate and measure impact. Establish the key performance indicators to evaluate the AI effectiveness, reduce hiring time, it could be increased employee satisfaction, etc. There could be also regular review of the AI system, AI performance, and make adjustments as needed. So monitor the performance of the AI system against the goals that were set earlier and gather feedback from the HR staff. Increasingly and interestingly, maintain a human touch. We'll talk extensively about this human touch throughout the different modules, but please note, ensure that AI complements human decision making rather than replacing it. I repeat, ensure that AI complements human decision making rather than replacing it, particularly in sensitive areas like employee relations, etc. So when you look into feedback, create channels for employee to provide feedback on AI systems and their impacts. And finally, stay agile and adaptable. Be prepared to pivot and adapt as technology evolves and new opportunities or challenges emerge. Given the rapid evolution of AI technologies, HR teams should be encouraged to pursue continuous learning in AI, machine learning, or data science. Also, encourage typically experimentation and innovation within the HR team to explore new HR and new AI applications in HR. So this will enable the organizations to stay agile and adaptable. So please note, we have comprehensively tried to do a couple of things. One, we have tried to introduce you to the world of AI in HR. But before that, we took a plunge on the different HR practices. What are the different challenges that are there existing? How these challenges can be mitigated by introducing AI. We also looked into what could be the potential challenges that could emerge once AI is there in this particular function. So this was a preliminary session whereby I tried to introduce the basics. As I mentioned, please take a note, across the modules, we'll be talking in detail about different tools, different aspects, different benefits, different disadvantages of using AI in HR. But please note, as part of the first lecture, I would leave you with one simple theme. AI and the use of AI is only as good as the data it is trained on. So when you try to take the human touch out of the whole scenario, there is a problem, there's an imminent problem that is coming up. That is, you are taking the human touch out of the scenario. You'll understand and appreciate more of this in coming lectures. I hope it was a wonderful session. See you in the next class. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.